A man is asleep in the desert. The fire beside him has burned down to coals. His wife and his children lie close, breathing slow in the cold. And something is moving toward him in the dark. Days ago, this man stood before a bush that burned and was not consumed, and the voice of God spoke to him out of the flames. "Go back to Egypt," the voice said. "Stand before the most powerful king on earth. Set my people free." It was the greatest mission ever handed to a human being, and now the same God who gave it to him has come in the night to take his life. The man is Moses. The Bible tells this in 4 short lines, and they are some of the most disturbing lines ever written about the God of Israel. He was on the way, it says. He stopped for the night, and the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. No reason, no warning, no explanation. Why would God try to murder the prophet he had only just chosen? And what happened in the next few minutes that made the killer stop, turn, and walk away into the dark? The answer is hidden in a smear of blood, and once you see it, you will never read the story of Moses the same way again. Go back to the start of that road. Moses is not a young man anymore. Decades ago, he fled Egypt as a fugitive, a man with blood on his hands, and vanished into the wilderness. He found a quiet life among shepherds. He married a local woman named Zipporah. He keeps her father's flocks on the far side of the wilderness, far from palaces, far from power. By every measure, he is finished with Egypt forever. Then the bush burns, and everything changes. God tells Moses his name, tells him the cries of the slaves have climbed all the way to heaven, tells him that he, a stammering shepherd in his old age, will be the one to break the chains. Moses argues. He is afraid. He says he is slow of speech, that no one will listen to him. But in the end, he goes. He sets his wife and his sons on a donkey. He turns his face toward Egypt, and he begins the long walk down into the empire that wants him dead. This is the hero at the beginning of his journey, chosen, sent, surely protected of all people by the God who chose him. But that is not what happens. Night comes. They stop at a lodging place along the road. The animals are tied. The fire sinks low. The family lies down, and the great silence of the desert closes over the camp. And in that silence, the Lord comes for him. The text does not describe a dream. It does not describe a vision in the clouds. It uses the flat, physical language of an ambush. God met him. God sought to kill him. Whatever moves through that camp is real, and it is close, and it has come for the one man the whole rescue depends on. Moses cannot fight it. How do you raise a hand against the thing that made your hand? And here is the detail that should stop you cold. Moses does nothing. In the entire scene, the man at the center of it never speaks, never struggles, never even cries out. It is as though he is already slipping under, already half gone into the dark. It is his wife who saves his life. Zipporah understands, in a single instant, something the text never explains to us. She knows what the thing in the dark wants. She does not run. She reaches for a knife, not bronze, not iron, but a blade of sharpened stone, a flint, the oldest kind of blade there is. She takes their son, and with that stone, she performs the most ancient rite her people know. She circumcises the boy. Then she does something stranger still. She takes the blood and she presses it against Moses' body. And she speaks, a single strange phrase in the dark that readers have argued over ever since. A bridegroom of blood you are to me. And the thing withdraws. The weight lifts off the camp. The night goes still. Whatever had come to kill Moses simply stops. In the very instant the blood appears. He lives. The mission lives. By the light of morning, the family is back on the road, moving down toward Egypt and the reckoning that will set a nation free, as if nothing had happened in the night at all. But something did happen, and the Bible refuses to tell you what it was. Start with the words, because in the original Hebrew, they are stranger than any translation admits. In English, the story seems to have a clear cast. God attacks, Zipporah cuts, she touches the blood to Moses. But in Hebrew, almost none of that is certain. The attack never names its victim. It says only that the Lord sought to kill him. Him. And the Hebrew will not tell us who. For thousands of years, readers have wondered whether the one under attack was Moses at all, or the child. And when Zipporah presses the blood to his feet, that word, feet, is the trap. Because in ancient Hebrew, feet are not always feet. It is a veiled word, a careful way of speaking about the private parts of the body, used in more than one place across the Bible when the writers did not wish to say a thing out loud. Which means this scene may be far more intimate and far more pointed than any English page has ever let us see. Now ask the question the story is daring you to ask. Why blood? Why this rite in the middle of the night with a killer standing over the camp? Here is what that rite meant. To circumcise was to carry the mark of the covenant, the sign cut into the flesh that said, "This person belongs to the God of Israel." And the rite that ends the attack is exactly that, which tells us something had been left undone. A sign that should have been there was not. Many readers, ancient and modern, have drawn the same hard conclusion. The man God sent to demand that Egypt honor his covenant had failed to keep that same covenant inside his own tent. And the God who chose him would not simply look away. Not even on the road to the rescue. Not even if it cost Moses everything. Maybe that is the reason. Maybe it is not. But one thing in the story is beyond all doubt. The blood worked. The moment it appeared, the killing stopped. And now the floor drops out into something far older and far darker. There are scholars who spend their lives reading the oldest layers buried inside the Bible, the seams where one story was stitched over another. And some of them believe this passage is a survivor, a fragment of a tale much older than the book it now lives in. In that older version, they argue, the thing that came from Moses in the night was not God at all. It was a demon, a spirit of the dark, a killer of the kind the entire ancient world believed waited out beyond the firelight, in the empty places, on the lonely roads, in the dead hours when a traveler was most alone. In the oldest form of the story, this reading goes, a demon came from Moses, and the blood of the covenant drove it back, exactly the way blood and ancient charms were believed to turn away such spirits all across that part of the world. And then, over centuries, the story was rewritten. As Israel's faith hardened into the worship of one God and no other, there could be no rival spirit haunting the dark. So the demon was quietly edited out, and the only power left standing in the scene became the Lord himself. We have watched this happen before. It is what many scholars believe became of the Great Flood, a story told for ages across the ancient world, full of many warring gods, and then retold with only one. So be honest about what this is. It is a reconstruction, a theory about layers we can no longer fully see. The Bible, as it has come down to us, names only God in that camp. But we are not the first people to ask what was truly moving in the dark. And one ancient writer refused to leave it a mystery. There is a Jewish book written more than 2,000 years ago that never made it into the Bible. It retells the old stories and fills the silences that Scripture leaves wide open. And when it reaches this night on the road to Egypt, it does the thing the Bible would not. It names the attacker. It was not God, the book says. It was a prince of demons, an accuser, an adversary, the kind of figure later generations would come to know by a single, colder name: Satan. According to that ancient book, this demon prince came to kill Moses for a reason: to stop the rescue before it could begin, to protect Egypt and the king of Egypt from the deliverer walking toward them through the night. In this telling, the attack on Moses is not random at all. It is the opening shot of a war fought over the firstborn sons of Egypt, a war that has not even begun. Hold on to that word, firstborn. We will come back to it, and when we do, it will change everything. Because this was not the only night the divine came hunting its own. There is a man named Jacob who wrestles a stranger in the dark beside a river all night long and limps away at dawn with a broken hip and a new name. There is a prophet named Balaam riding out toward his task who never sees the angel waiting in the road ahead of him with a drawn sword ready to cut him down, an angel only his donkey can see. A pattern rises out of the oldest pages of the Bible, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The road to a great calling runs straight through the dark, and in the dark, something is always waiting. So we come back to where we began, to the one word the whole story hangs on. Why? Why would God ambush the very man he had just chosen and sent? Why would the one who calls you become the thing in the dark? People have wrestled with this for as long as the story has existed, and they have never agreed. Some say it was a test, a last and terrible proving of the man before he could stand in front of Pharaoh. If Moses could not survive a single night alone with his God, how could he ever survive the throne room of an empire? Some say it was the covenant, plain and unbending. The mark was missing, the sign was not there, and the God of that covenant does not look away from his own, not even from the man he loves, not even from the man he needs. And some say the truth is the one the ancient book gave us, that it was never God in the dark at all, but an enemy, and that the rescue of an entire people was opposed by something monstrous from its very first step. But underneath every answer lies the same unsettling truth, the one these old stories keep circling back to. To be chosen by God here is not safe. It is the most dangerous thing that can happen to you. We like to imagine the hand of God as a shelter, a warm light, a promise that nothing can ever touch us again. That night on the road says something far more frightening. To be chosen is to be pulled close to a power that is holy and vast and not tame. A power that gives life, and that, on one terrible night, came within a breath of taking it. Think about what that taught Moses. He had heard the voice in the fire. He had been handed the mission of the ages. And then, before he reached Egypt, before a single plague, before the sea ever split, he learned the lesson that would shape the rest of his life. The God he served was not his servant. The God he served was a consuming fire. And to stand that close to fire will always cost you something. Now turn it toward yourself, just for a moment. How many of us believe that if we were truly chosen, truly called to something that mattered, the road would finally go smooth? That the fear, the obstacles, the nights we cannot explain must be proof we took a wrong turn somewhere? These ancient stories say the opposite. They say the dark on the road is not a sign that you are lost. Sometimes it is the surest sign that you are exactly where you were sent. Moses did not turn back. He could not even speak in that camp. But his wife reached for a stone in the dark, and the blood was enough. The blood was always enough. So what turned the killer away? A smear of blood on the body in the dark? A sign that said, "This one is covered. This one belongs. Pass over him. Pass over." Hold those words, because they are not finished with you. That night on the road to Egypt was not the end of something. It was a rehearsal. Within weeks, there will be another night and another killer moving through the dark. But this one will not come for a single man at a roadside camp. It will come for a whole nation. It will move from door to door across the entire land of Egypt. And in every house, something will be waiting to take the firstborn son. Unless there is blood on the door. The same sign, the same dark, the same terrible mercy. A smear of blood, and the destroyer turns away. What Zipporah did with a flint knife in a desert camp, an entire people will soon do with the blood of a lamb on their doorframes, on the night their faith was born. The first Passover. But the thing that comes for the firstborn of Egypt is far worse than what came for Moses on that road. It has a name, and in the next part of this story, it is set loose. The blood saved one man in the dark. Soon, it will have to save everyone.